Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Asan. I teach data science and programming skills to people around the world, and I teach programming skills like Python, R, SQL. So in today's lecture, we are going to discuss about conditional statements, and specifically I'm talking about if-else conditional statement. And we will conduct a series of exercise that will actually help you understand the concept, but also help you gain programming skills in Python. So the conditional statements allow us to execute a different block of code based on a specific conditions that are being met. Here are the key components we will cover. So basically, if we are specifically talking about if-else statement, so in if-else statement, the first key block is actually if statement. It executes a block of code if a specified condition is met. If a specified condition is true, it will execute it. Then we have else statement, provides an alternative block of code to execute when the if condition evaluates to false. That is, if the if condition is not met, then the else condition becomes true and it will get executed. And finally, there is another thing like elif statement. It is used for multiple conditions. If the initial condition is false, then it checks the additional conditions, and I will explain that with the help of example where it's more easy to grasp the concept right now instead of just like talking about right here. So let's begin the first thing, using how we can use if statement in Python. So remember that this is a conditional statement. A conditional statement is meant that we are specifying as condition or logic. If that logic happens to be true or it happens to be false, the respective block of code can be executed or it cannot be executed. So let's take an example. If we want to see if the number we have defined is actually a positive number or a negative number. So this is the case, and now we are going to create a logic using if statement. So we have here a number defined. We declare a number is a variable, like here the variable is number, and then we use equal to actually assign some value to it. So we use equal to 10, so its value is 10, and we know that it's a positive value. And after that we will use if statement. If number is greater than 0, then we have colon. Okay, so we say that if the number is greater than 0, then execute this block of code. Okay, keep that in mind. You have to provide the indentation here. So okay, so whatever the indentation is provided, it will remain in this block of code. So okay, so to give you an idea, this here line is actually in the if statement block. However, this line is not in the if statement block because it's not in the indentation exactly to the if statement here. So this is indentation is quite important when you are dealing with if-else statement or even other functions or other things. Okay, so we say that if the number is greater than 0, we will say that print the number is positive, and when we run that, you see that this number is positive. But what if we change its value to -10? Will that run? Now you see that you can just actually skip that thing. Now you see that it doesn't run, okay, because our number is negative. If I change it back to the positive format, like positive number, then it will run again and it will display the value, the number is positive. So now you can grab the concept here, if after using if here, we have defined a condition here that the number should be greater than 0, and if that's true, then you have to perform whatever is written down here with the indentation here. Okay, so you can actually write another thing here, just okay, and I will say okay, number is positive, second, and when I run it, now you see that whatever that is present in that if block will be executed with the help of indent. And how you can actually define the block with the help of indentation. Okay, So that's you how actually define an if statement. Now we know that how to define if statement. Now let's move on to actually using if else statement. Okay, and the example we are going to use here is exactly the same top problem, but with more feasibility and more which will actually help us give two results, like either the number is positive or the number is negative. So the exam, okay, so we have like determining if the number is positive or negative. So we have declared here number, like number is equal to -5, and first of all we are going to use if statement. We say if number is greater than 0, just like we have used in the previous statement. We say if number is greater than 0, we say print positive number with the help of, and this if block is defined by indentation here. Okay, so we have like if. Now if that's not true, we have like in that case and we have actually seen that if the number is negative, then this statement is not true and this block of code will not be run. Then we will use else statement, and then we say that the number is negative. We use this else, then we provide colon, and when we will define the code block for else statement used with the help of indentation here, and we say the print number is negative. So the logic here is actually this thing: if number is greater than 0, this thing can either be true or false. If that's true, then this block of code will run. Okay, and if that's false, then it will not execute this block of code and it move on to the else statement here, and else statement will only run if this if block is false. Okay, if else is false, if this block of code is, if this statement is false, then in that specific condition else will run, or whatever the code that is present in else block will run. So if I run it, you see that the number is actually a negative number. And what if I actually change it to the positive number here? Now you see that the number is actually positive, and it has also been identified by if else logic, because it sees that okay, if number is greater than 0, which is number is actually 5, and this condition is true, it says that okay, this condition is true, I will use this block of code here, and I will don't have to use actually go towards else statement. So this is the logic of if and else. Now let's advance our knowledge with another statement block, which is called elif. We know if, you know else, and now there is something in between that is called elif. And what elif does is actually help us create multiple logics within our code, and I'm going to explain to you with the help of this example. So we have like this example, a very generic and quite generic example, like we want to assign grades based on student scores. Okay, so you already know that someone who has a 90 gets an A grade, someone who has a 75 numbers or greater than 75, he will get B grade, and someone who's actually has greater than 65, he will get C grade, and every student that falls below 65 will get D grade. How you can actually create that logic? So we can create that logic using elif statement. So let's break it down step by step what we are doing here. So you get the idea. Okay, consider elif is a second option if statement. Like we say that we will first use if statement and say that if this condition statement is true, and by chance it's not true, like in this case, like we have 85, 85 is not greater than 90, then it will be a negative condition, or it will be a false statement. Then we use elif, which is kind of a second opinion or second option for if, like we want to evaluate the situation that based on some logic. In this case we define the logic is that the store must be greater than 75. Okay, so this is a second way of saying that okay, if this statement is not true, but also let me check for another statement, then also let me check for another statement. So this is what we use elif for. So we have like if statement, if that's not true, then we check another condition. If that's not true, then we want to actually check another condition. Keep that in mind, that is different from the else statement, because in else will always get executed if the if statement is not true, or if whatever the statement block that is present above else is not true, else will get executed. It doesn't have any condition to check whether it's right or wrong. So you get the idea of elif statement. So the syntax to define elif statement is quite same to if. Like we say if, then we pass the condition statement, like the score is greater than 90. If it's true, then print a, grade A. And if that's false, then we simply just use elif instead of if, and then we check another condition. If that's true, it will print, and if that's not true, it will not print. In the same way, we define the elif condition again, conditional statement again, with the help of elif, and we want to check the score is either greater than 65 or not. If it's greater than 65, we say that the person gets a C grade. And if all those conditions are not met, or all those conditions are false, in that particular case, then we have like else. Okay, so like the else will get executed, and we will have, the person will have a D grade. So let me run this again and again, so you can get an idea here. The first statement is actually, the first statement should be 95, which is actually, and the person must get an A grade. So you see that we get an A grade. What if like I've changed this value to 75? Now the person gets C grade. Reason why is that C grade? Because again, like it's not equal to, it must be like something, we can also write it something like equal to or greater than 75. So right now it's a false statement, it gets to, it's like 65. Let me just change it to 70. So now it's a more better thing to, now it's more easy to think like that. Okay, 70 is not greater than 75, then it goes on and check this statement if score is greater than 65, and yes, that's true. That's why the reason is we are getting grade C. And finally, let's make it like 50, and when we run it again, we see that the grade is now D. So I think that's a quite comprehensive tutorial for if else statement in Python. And I will be posting more tutorials on Python soon, so stay tuned. Thank you for joining.